Literary analysis by Anton Chekhov. Human suffering. The central theme of misery is the pervasive nature of suffering. The story begins with Iona Potapov, a sledge driver mourning the recent death of his son. His grief highlights the universal experience of love. For example, Iona's internal monologue reviews the depth of his despair, emphasizing how isolation composes his sorrow. Isolation and loneliness. Iona's interaction illustrates the profound loneliness that accompanies his grief. Despite his attempts to share his sorrow with others, he is met with indifference when he tries to speak to a passenger about his son. The man dismisses him, underscoring how society often neglects individual suffering. Desire for connections. Iona's need to communicate his pain reflects the human desire for empathy and understanding. He feels attempts to connect with others show how difficult it can be to find solace in a world that is often preoccupied with its own concern. Characterization. Iona is depicted as a tragic figure, embodying the struggle and the common man. His silence, suffering, and journey to be heard create sympathy. For instance, his respected attempt to talk about his son highlight his desperation for connections and acknowledgement. The passenger. Iona encounters are characterized by their empathy and self-absorption that represent society's tendency to overlook the struggle of others. Their disinterest in Iona's grief starkly contrasts with his emotional turmoil. Symbolizing. The sledge itself symbolizes both Iona's livelihood and his emotional burden. As he drives through the city, it serves as a vehicle of his isolation, carrying him physically but also emotionally away from any sense of connection. The night, the setting, night symbolizes Iona's despair and the blackness of his situation. The darkness reflects his internal state, suggesting a world devoid of light or hope. Mirroring the emotional isolation he experienced. Style and tone. Chekhov's writing style in misery is characterized by its simplicity and realism. The dialogue is naturalistic, capturing the everyday language of the characters, while the tone shifts from sober to reflective. Chekhov's use of irony is evident when Iona needs to express his grief, midway and different, highlighting the disconnect between human experience. Conclusion. Misery serves as a point in exploration of suffering, isolation, and the human need for connections. Through Iona Potapov struggle, Chekhov poignantly illustrates how society often overlooks individual pain. The history-rich themes and character dynamic create a lasting impression, prompting readers to reflect on their own response to the suffering of others. Chekhov's mastery lies in his ability to portray complex emotions within the confines of everyday life, making misery a powerful meditation of the human condition.